what's up, family? Hope you're having a wonderful day. Hope you're enjoying your sim racing days, nights, and evenings. Hopefully, you're watching some great racing going on track in real life, as well as enjoying it yourself. Today's video is not really a review as much as just, again, being practical about the money that we spend, looking at alternative options, and what you can do to make sure you get the best bang for your buck. So what I've done here is I've pulled together what I've recently been running on my wheel. For those of you who've been watching my racing, you know I got the SimTech, the Bavarian SimTech Omega 1 Red Devil, or as I like to call it, my Omega Red wheel. But what I've also added was a button plate. I got the Turn Racing button plate. It's called the BP2 Sim Racing button plate, and I absolutely love it. I think it's something that everybody should consider, especially when you're trying to run something at a reasonable cost. And again, I know I started out with a Fanatec CSL Elite wheelbase, and again, I've only been sim racing for almost 2 years now, a little less than that, well, maybe about a year and a half. And I went from a CSL Elite to a CSW 2.5 in a matter of months. Went from the CSW 2.5 to the CSL DD when they released that. I ordered it, didn't get it, decided to cancel it, then decided to go ahead and do it anyway and purchase it. Finally got it, loved it. Going from a wheel, a non-direct drive wheelbase to one that was absolutely amazing. I would have kept the CSL DD to be honest, but it just felt like I wasn't getting the best bang for my buck. I know some people think that, Fanatec is the best, or Fanatec, whatever you call it, is the best out there, or they're just biased, or whatever the case may be. I am open to any and all. And at the time, I jumped to Moza because I wanted a better wheel rim, which that GS compared to that McLaren wheel rim, I don't care what anybody tells you, it is significantly better, especially when you think about what you're getting for the cost. So that Moza GS wheel is awesome. And at $499, people say, well, the McLaren wheel is $199. Yes, and it's a great entry level wheel. But the minute you buy the metal QR from Fanatec or Fanatec, and you go ahead and do something like I did, I bought magnetic shifters from sim race makers or sim makers, which awesome. But then now the wheel's $469 and it's still plastic. At that point, I paid $499 and got a carbon fiber wheel, with the 5 millimeter. So again, I've done that video in the past. So for me, that was great. But with all things sim racing, you evolve, you change, you grow, you want more, you want better, you want more expensive. So now I'm running the Bavarian SimTech again, Omega 1 Red Devil. I had the Cube Controls F Pro, which I loved, and I would have kept that if the grips were just better. I got so upset at those grips. Oh my God. And, when you're spending all the money we're spending, you just want something to be perfect. And nothing's ever perfect. It's perfect for you at the time, it's perfect at that moment. Although I have tried the GSI, their Formula Elite. That is a sweet wheel rim, but not for Formula racing. It's great for LMP2 and bigger cars because it's a big wheel rim. It's 320 millimeters. I wouldn't necessarily recommend it for F1 racing. You can do it. I know people who do, but I would recommend a smaller. And their new Hyper P1 is going to be 300 millimeters, so I'm anxious to see how that one works. Eventually, someday, I hope to get my hands on it, and maybe I'll own one. But for right now, this is all about being practical, spending money wisely, as best you can, because sim racing is addicting. So again, the Turn Racing button plate, I've got their 305 wheel rim here that I absolutely love and adore, but I don't really run it much because I ended up also getting this wheel rim from Sim Racing Bay, their V2 GT style open rim, because the grips, look at how thick those grips are. I mean, and they're quite soft. I mean, they give. I mean, there's so much give in this, and because they're thicker, the rubber is just great. I think I paid like 140 for this, similar to the Turn Racing 305, and they're both great. I just use this more for my LMP2 racing, and I absolutely love it. And when you pair it with the Turn Racing button plate, which again, Gen 2, really nice. I mean, I've got the shifters all the way out, as you can see. This is their Gen 2 version. It is a plastic housing. Yeah, but where you connect it to the QR and to the actual wheelbase, that is all aluminum. There's an aluminum plate in there that they then put the plastic housing around for the buttons, which when you think about it, quite ingenious, saves you money, makes it lightweight. This is about $317. Comes with everything you're going to need. Comes with their coiled RJ connector, which again, just does what it needs to do. And again, they stretch, as you know. I have a USB hub attached to my wheel rig, so just absolutely great. There's no flex or anything like that, so I can't complain there. I'll go ahead and put it together, and hopefully I get it done right on the first try, just because, you know, these things aren't the quickest thing to go together, but shouldn't take you long. And again, what I have here is the QR from NRG, their Gen 2, which fits the Moza wheelbase perfectly. I've been running it for about a week and a half, 2 weeks now. And what you have to do is make sure you take out, there's a little attachment in here that comes in case you're going to attach a horn or anything, so you don't mess up the Moza QR system. But no, it works perfect. And my assumption is, since I'm going to be switching at some point, I wanted to keep this type of QR because they are sturdy, they are firm, they snap in, they snap out. It's easy to get in. People run them in their real race cars. So you know what? I needed something. It was $100. I got it on Amazon and it came the next day. What more could you ask for? So I got it in orange and gray because it's similar to my Colors for Grays Dynamics. I know you see those wonderful logos behind you on the top left of the screen. Amazing. My guy Matt, Simulation RS. Again, check them out. Link down below. But again, so the QR simply attaches. Now I run it with the QR that's facing up, but you can run it either way. It really doesn't matter. Either way is going to work perfectly fine. So what you're going to do is you're simply going to align it here. Make sure that your holes line up, and it's easier to make sure they line up before you start trying to screw things in, because the minute you start screwing things in, it can get really complicated. And again, I like to run the logo as close to facing upward as I can. And that's going to sit here like this. Now, all you're going to do, and again, take your button plate, put it on like this. Pretty simple. You can feed one of your screws through and it sits right through. Because again, the holes on the actual button plate are not threaded. So since they're not threaded, it makes it easy. Again, I like to match up the top here. And once I match it up, I like to screw one of them in like so. Then I'm going to come back and I'm going to align it by looking through here to make sure everything is aligned perfectly. Drop the next screw in. And to be honest, once you get two of them in, the rest are just simple. You can just drop them in. I first get the first little bit done by hand, just because it makes sense to me. Take my nifty little Populo tool I got from Amazon, or my mother-in-law got me from Amazon. Awesome lady, love her to death. Always buys me something that I need rather than what I want, and this is always comes in handy. So screw these in. Okay, I'm gonna set that down here. Turn off those fingerprints, and there you go. I mean, something simple, something easy, something affordable. What I'll do is I'll put up some footage here so you can see that, again, there's just no flex in it when I'm running it. And again, it's because they were just ingenious when they put it together. Again, plastic housing for the buttons doesn't matter to me, and it shouldn't matter to anybody, because it's just here to do what you want it to do. I mean, It's got rotary encoders, it's got multi-position switches. It's got a few buttons on here that I've put my black and yellow stickers on, and again, just looks absolutely cool. Black and yellow, not a Pittsburgh Steelers fan for those of you who are in the States or who just watch NFL football here. Pittsburgh Steelers, not my team, but love that look. I mean, come on, this looks great. I'm going to get a logo put here. But again, it's nice and sturdy. I run it from my LMP2 races on my Moza R9. Again, I'm going to be switching to the VRS wheelbase, so this QR will go with it, and then my Moza QRs will go with it, which is great. I don't have to spend any extra money because the QR systems will work, and I won't have to get anything additional. But looking at this, you can see just by looking at the back, my fingers can reach. Not loud at all. Nice quick shift. Again, RJ connector here, but it does everything I need it to do. I mean, I use this to box, multi-position switch, brake bias, ABS. And again, you can use any sticker to do what you want it to do. You don't have to take my word for it, set it up how you like it. But this wheel, the wheel rim, the additional parts, just practical, makes sense. When you figure $317 for the button box, I paid $100 for the QR, and I paid, I think, $130 for this here. So you've got $317, $130 plus it's a little more than $500. But again, depending on your setup, depending on what kind of wheel rim you have, maybe you have a third-party one that somebody, gave to you. Maybe you have one you've owned for years. Maybe you have one you took out of a car. I don't know. Maybe you want to see one you get on Amazon, one of those cheap ones, see if it works. Depending on your QR system as well, it will be different. If I would have got a Moza QR, it'd have been about $30 cheaper. So again, at the end of the day, this is all about being practical, but also getting good value. And I think this is something that people should consider. I think Turn Racing made a great product. Their wheel rims are great. When you pair it with whatever you want to do. And again, they recommended I actually get a spacer for this. I actually like it just like this. A spacer would have put a little bit closer towards me. And since, again, I made that adjustment to my wheel, to my rig, it is sitting at the perfect space for me to drive and race. And again, there is a little bit of play here where it kind of moves a little bit, but you don't notice it in racing, so it doesn't really matter to me. And again, I would say make sure you tighten these down. I use a little wrench to tighten them down tighter because I did it by hand, and when I was racing, it slid in, and that's no fun. So just get a little wrench, don't strip it or anything like that. Just a little extra nudge just to make sure it's tight. But once you get it, I'll be honest, this probably will be used a lot. I'm doing a lot of LMP2. Now, granted, if I had the lotto, everything will change. But since that's not going to happen, I'm not going to count on that. I will tell anybody. Recommend you getting this button box. Again, $317 for the button plate. Can be used with anything. If you go on their website, they have all of the instruction and specs on what wheel rims you can run it with and what spacer you may need to run it with. And again, everything is also personal preference because I don't want the spacer that they recommend that I run it with. They do sell the spacers on their website. You may be able to find one that's better, that works for you, especially if you need a spacer because your wheelbase is further back and you need to bring it closer to you, or yeah. So that is my little take on this button box and wheel rim. I hope that you enjoyed the content. I hope that you take a look at what they're offering. I hope that you think it's great value. I hope that you give me a thumbs up. I hope that you subscribe to the website, and I hope you turn the notifications on. Check out, I've got some links below just in case you want something from Moza. Maybe you're looking for something from Digital Motorsport. Maybe you want something from Track Racer. Got a few links down below. Some of it feeds back to me, a percentage of what you pay for. Does it cost you anything extra? So I appreciate it if you click down below. Additionally, if you click on some of the other links, there are things from my team, RSH Motorsports. So again, won't cost you anything extra. You'll get the things you want at no additional cost, shipped directly to you, as always, but a percentage will come back to us. So as always, check out the content, enjoy my racing, and I hope to see you on track. Talk to you later. Peace.